and gentlemen,
What the fuck?
welcome back to the Martin Dreyfus Show, where we are covering the Ukraine-Russia crisis in depth. We have already talked about the initial invasion, how the Russian military went about their business, as well as some objective history from this truly an incredible video from Gravitas. So if you haven't seen those, go check it out. After we sit and we talk about the Russian perspective of this war, and just seeing how the actual citizens feel. I want to watch a couple of videos just to kind of get this full perspective. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and start with the first one that was about the tension 3 weeks ago.
Away from the military tension and the high-level diplomacy, what do ordinary Russians think of the prospect of a full-scale war in Ukraine? Well, the BBC's Moscow correspondent Steve Rosenberg reports now from the city.
His coffee's 8 hours old.
In Russia, Putin is but one of many Vladimirs. This is Vladimir, the town. It was founded by a medieval prince who ruled from Kiev. A reminder that Russia and Ukraine have common roots. Andrei's mother is from Ukraine. He calls the two countries brotherly nations, but he clearly sees Russia as big brother.
Russia must have a sphere of influence. It's a superpower. Smaller countries can ally with whoever they choose, but it's up to big countries to help them decide.
I find that many Russians do believe what they're being told. The constant stream of claims in the state media here that it's Ukraine and the West that risk turning a Cold War hot.
That's a scary proposition. Obviously that's just one one Russian citizen. We will see a variety of perspectives from them, but it is scary to think on both sides. They believe exactly what they're given and told to believe, and so are we. We are given the news from CNN and, in this case, the BBC on the exact opposite of what they're saying, and typically, it's not often that one side is telling the whole truth. Because it's not. There's probably somewhere in the middle here. It's scary to me that it seems that the mentality of that particular Russian individual is that Russia should make the decision for Ukraine.
Yeah.
That's a little scary for me.
Vladimir Market, though, on people's minds are troubles on the home front. Economic ones. Lydia is trying to sell produce from her garden. The money she makes here is a lifeline. The situation in Ukraine is a worry, Lydia says, but so is the Russian economy. Prices are rising on everything. My pension's barely enough to survive on. With all the problems Russians have right now, economic hardship, the coronavirus pandemic, there's little appetite here amongst the public for a full-scale war with Ukraine, let alone a war with the West. But that doesn't mean that Russians don't fear such a war. Many do. With East-West tension.
Isn't that what all of us Americans typically say, is stop focusing on these foreign issues when there are so many problems at home? I mean, they're not worried about Ukraine. They don't care about Ukraine. They're worried about the fact that their families aren't eating and that they should do something about that. But again, it doesn't matter what the masses of the people want or the masses of the people think. If the masses of the people want to protest for something that they believe their country should do, prepare to be arrested. Prepare to be shot with rubber bullets and tear gas in America. Prepare to be met with utter backlash from the people who swear to protect you. And that's what we constantly see in history.
Tension. Close to boiling point over Ukraine. I-10 and her husband Victor blame their government. They believe the Russian authorities have created imaginary enemies as a distraction.
So they want us to hate. They want us to imagine that there is an enemy, because there must be an enemy. Otherwise, people will focus on the problems they have and will be focusing on what's wrong, why they're not living the life they could live if the government would be different, if the policy would be different.
So,
So keep in mind, this is 3 weeks ago. This is kind of initial thoughts. A lot of people, both in Ukraine and I'm sure Russia, didn't believe that this war invasion was going to happen. It was a surprise to many. People who were working in Ukraine, yesterday or the day before, going to grocery stores normally. I mean, you can go on TikTok now. Social media gives us such an insight into these people's lives that this was unexpected. So a lot of people probably felt like they were just being interviewed again on hypotheticals that they're so used to hearing. So let's go to a video that starts bringing us a little bit closer to there, but not quite. 2 weeks ago.
In the heart of Moscow, Kiev station, gateway to neighbouring Ukraine. The border is 300 miles from here, and for ordinary Russians, the international row surrounding the tension there feels equally distant. The rising cost of living means many have more pressing worries. Others are all but ignoring the crisis.
Young people don't think about war at all, I think. We just live our lives.
Do you trust Vladimir Putin to sort this out?
Yes, I trust him. I think he's a good person.
You see people around here,
See, and this is where it's tough for me to know what to believe. Of course, as a democratic country, we are going to say that Russia is bad, they're demonized, because they don't do what we do, they do the opposite. But if Russian citizens are happy with their president, and of course not every person is happy with their president. A lot of people aren't happy with Joe Biden. A ton of people weren't happy with Donald Trump or George Bush or Barack Obama. But if the majority believe that he is capable of doing the job, it's hard for me, who knows nothing about the day-to-day lives in Russia, to condemn the man. Furthermore, it seems again that these people are more concerned, as they should be, and as we are in our lives, about bettering our local country, about making sure we eat more, that we have the food, the resources, the homes, the technology distributed throughout our country so we have a high standard of living and we don't have to work till 90 to have a pension that barely pays for our food. So it makes sense that they're like, why are you asking about this? There's not even an invasion going on. We need to be worried about home.
Everyone is happy, anyway. Yeah, because they think about their lives, it's not about international policy.
You're optimistic war can be avoided?
I'm very concerned about the possibility. Still, I do not believe that it will happen, but still, I worry a bit.
Here in the capital, it's difficult to find anyone with much appetite for war. But then Vladimir Putin isn't the kind of leader whose actions are shaped by public opinion anyway. And however people feel, there's precious little room for dissent after the Kremlin's crackdown on independent Russian media. Dozhd is the only remaining TV news channel here operating without state interference. The top story today is about Putin, but this more balanced view isn't what most of the country is getting.
It's hard to say how many people still trust the propaganda machine. How many people still, when they come home, they automatically they switch television on. I'm sure that in the regions of Russia, maybe not in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, in big cities, it's not so massive, but in the regions, they do watch television.
On the other side of the city, volunteers are packing supplies for the Donbass, Ukraine's pro-Moscow region, where fighting over the past few years has left people struggling to get by. Many Russians have friends and family there and can't contemplate fighting their neighbour.
I don't believe that Russia can go to Ukraine and to begin the war. I don't believe it. Impossible, absolutely, because Russian people know what is a war.
The prevailing hope here is that despite the build-up of hostilities, Russia can still find a peaceful path through this. Rachel Younger, News at 10, Moscow.
So again, building up to the war, people just didn't expect it to happen. I mean, just no one really believed this was gonna happen. It was a shock to the world. So with that being said, let's take a live look into what the Russian people are thinking and feeling as we are speaking. This video from 14 hours ago.
To Moscow now, and a closer look at how Russia's attacks are being received there. Today, senior international correspondent Keir Simmons joins us from there. Hey, Keir, good morning.
Hoda, good morning. President Putin made his televised announcement before 6 a.m. here in Moscow, but Russians woke up to find it playing on loop on Russian morning television and to find the value of their currency crashing. Hoda, there have been lines at banks of Russians trying to withdraw dollars from banks and people coming up to us on the street to tell us how upset they are. One man told us he supports President Putin. Many others told us they do not, including one woman who says her partner is Ukrainian and how frightened she is for him.
I don't like it and I don't want it to be like that at all.
Do you know people in Ukraine?
Yep, I'm actually in love with one. So I don't know what to say. It's a tragedy.
I'm afraid that something will happen here, and I'm afraid of people who live in Ukraine.
You're afraid for them?
Yes.
And President Putin has cancelled his public appearances. Today we're told that he is meeting with oligarchs as Russia faces those huge sanctions threatened by the West, Savannah. President Putin, we are told, is making the decisions with a small group around him inside the walls of the Kremlin, Savannah.
All right, Keir, thank you.
That kind of highlights what the future of the world is going to start to look like. I mean, TikTok to the massive scale Russian protests in Moscow, which we'll get into in a little while. All those things are, yes, very important. Beyond the physical detriments that this war is bringing, it's also bringing economical detriments. As he said, as the Ukrainians have showed, they're lining banks because their currency is worth nothing. It's worth piss. It's worth pesos. It ain't a dollar. It ain't what it used to be.
And most of the banks are all shut down. That's why they're all sitting outside, because they can't get their money.
Yeah, because crashing in 1929, you ain't getting your stuff back. You're not getting it. It's gone. And that doesn't just affect Russia. These economic sanctions have already started to show throughout the world, and they're only going to continue to show. I believe that these corrections were going to come regardless due to the pandemic. However, if this then coincides with the pandemic's corrections, this whole world is going to be an absolute mess. There's going to be no economic structure. We already have insane supply chain crises. We already have shit pile buildups around the world. Supplies already aren't getting to your grocery stores here in America. This isn't helping anything. It's not helping anything. So that's a little bit of Russian perspective, kind of just the buildup of, this isn't going to happen. I really hope it doesn't happen, to it better not happen. I know people in Ukraine, to this is a tragedy. We're killing our brothers and our economy is collapsing. No side wants to be in this war. This is just another example of world leaders taking matters into their own hand despite public opinion, and it's quite tragic.
And despite the better good, it's not even just their people, it's the better good. Like, there's absolutely no reason for this shit to fucking happen. Like, it's just...
Philosophy makes it simple. It's utilitarian perspective. What is the overall consequences and what is the overall benefits for the totality of humanity? Now, obviously, you have to break that down to segments. Putin's going to look at his utilitarian view for his people, and he believes that invading Ukraine in the long term is the best for his people. But his people don't. And if the majority of your people don't believe that, then your analysis is wrong. I don't know. We need a mindset shift as humans. We need to unify more as humans. We need to take a stand despite all of the governments and just do as the Russians did. Some of the military abandoned their posts, which we'll probably watch next video. The only way to beat the man is stop playing its game. Billions of people have to say, fuck it. I'm not going to work for a government that's willing to do this, or I'm not going to participate in World War III. You don't want to see the end of the world happen. The only way to do it is just not participate. The whole world can put a hand up and say, hey, I'm not participating.
I want peace.
I'm not launching bombs. I'm not picking up a machine gun. I'm not traveling across the world.
And I feel like it is unified mostly, as people do just want peace and to be unified and to just live. But
we have
I don't
to take the
understand
action.
how, yeah.
When
we're
you get that
still
letter in your
living
mail
under
to go to
people-
war, you can't do it. You got to stand up for humanity at a certain point. Fuck America, fuck Russia, fuck India, fuck the United Kingdom, fuck China. We're humans, man. We gotta operate that way, or we're gonna let a very select few of people take all of us out. They've already put our planet on the brink of destruction for a variety of reasons that we could talk about beyond this. It's time that we quit giving them that power and we try to do something about it.